would like to take the opportunity to thank you all very much for giving of your time for this very, very important issue that we have not just in Melville but all over Johannesburg. I'd really like us all to take this opportunity to learn from one another, for us to learn what is available, what resources we have, in order to be able to take a multi-pronged approach to the question of vagrants. Now, if you look up a dictionary definition of vagrant, you'll find something that says a person who wanders from place to place without a permanent home or employment. But what does this imply? This implies that vagrancy is a poverty issue. It implies that vagrancy is a housing and shelter issue. It also implies that vagrancy has something to do with employment or lack thereof. That's true. But we also need to understand that vagrancy is also opportunistic. It's something that is influenced by the spatial or geographical environment in which vagrants congregate. And as you will hear today, vagrancy can also be a choice. A choice for economic reasons. We have vagrants in Johannesburg who have homes and families, but who choose to congregate in a specific place for certain reasons. It can be economic reasons, or it can be reasons that are related to alcohol, the availability of drugs, and other opportunities. So vagrant is a name that we give to a very heterogeneous group. It's a heterogeneous group because included in the group of vagrants, we have orphans and vulnerable children. We have people who are genuinely homeless and have nowhere to go. We have people who are unemployed and therefore homeless and in need of money, support, shelter. We have substance abusers who, due to their addictions, find themselves living on the street. But among the vagrants, there are also criminal elements. There are drug dealers, and there are petty thieves, and there are people who get co-opted into more serious crime as well. So this is why we tried to get together a very heterogeneous group here as well. People who are involved in various different disciplines, in health, in safety, in substance abuse, in working with orphans and vulnerable children, street kids, residents associations, residents, and city officials, because that's an important element here as well. I would like people to understand that this is not a problem that we can fob off to the city alone. This is not a problem that we can say, oh, city officials must go and clean them out, or, as I've often had said to me, call the police, tell them to get rid of them. Getting rid of them, first of all, is inhumane, and second of all, it is not something that is going to solve the problem long term, because you're either making it somebody else's problem, or it's just a question of time before these people come back to the very spot that they're at. So people need to understand that, yes, the city has a very important role. The various city officials in health, in human development, social assistance, law enforcement, etc., etc. These people have a very important role in helping us deal with the vagrant problem. But residents and resident associations also have a very important role to play. Because one of the aspects that very few people understand about vagrancy is the geospatial aspect of vagrancy. And when I say geospatial, we need to ask ourselves, why? Why are these people in the spots that they're in? Why do they congregate in that specific spot or in that specific suburb? Why does a certain suburb attracts so many vagrants? And I think the answer to that question is that it's related to urban decay. It's related to issues as simple as street lighting. You can have areas where street lights haven't worked for 2 years, and it's very dark, and a lot of things can happen in the darkness, and people can very comfortably get on with what they need to get on with. It can also be related to the vicinity of churches and soup kitchens. Now this, I'm sure, is going to be a sensitive issue, because there are some wonderful people who have the very best of intentions, who are trying to help their fellow man by providing food and sometimes shelter temporarily, and blankets and money. And in actual fact, what they're doing is they're not necessarily helping people to stop being vagrants or to find another life. They are perpetuating the vagrant situation. And that is why you'll find that there are a lot of vagrants, and Stephen, even in Parkview, a lot of vagrants that congregate around or near churches. And that is why we need to bring the churches and the NGOs into our plan as well, so that we find a way of dealing with this issue in such a way that we're not perpetuating vagrancy, but we are trying to help these people to find a better place, a better life, and unfortunately for those criminal elements, to get them off the street. There are other geospatial aspects that we need to take into consideration, and that is the availability of drugs and liquor. You'll find vagrants congregating very often in and around, or within a block almost, of liquor stores, and within areas where drug dealers are operating. In fact, we know that in Melville, a lot of vagrants are co-opted by drug dealers to be their runners, or to help them hide drugs. Then you have places where vagrants have the opportunity to act as car guards or window washers. And those geospatial aspects need to be taken into consideration as well. So it's a question of the environment, it's a question of the amount of support that these people get from the public. And I'm not saying that people should abandon vagrants, and I'm not saying that they should be treated inhumanely. In fact, the reason why we're having this workshop is to ensure that there is a humane solution, that the people who can be helped are helped, and that we make a clear distinction between the people in need of help and the elements that we need to actually remove from our streets. So today what I would like to do, I would like us all to use this opportunity to work together as the city, as residents and communities, to work hand in hand to find a multi-pronged solution that we can put into action. By the end of the day today, I would like commitments from the various groups, and I would like at least the start of an action plan that we can implement together. A few days ago in council, I spoke about the Parkview precinct plan that was approved by council on Thursday. And when I stood up, I said to everybody present that this precinct plan was an excellent example of what can be achieved when the community and city officials work together hand in hand and collaborate. So I want to make it very clear that today is not about slanging each other. It's not about saying, you're not doing your job and you are creating the problem and blah, blah. This is about, we all have a role to play, and let's work together. So we're going to be identifying the different groups of vagrants. So in that heterogeneous group, who are they? Where are they located? We're going to try and think about why they are in those places, what geospatial aspects, what opportunities exist for them in those spaces. And then we're going to try and identify the groups that we can help, and then the groups that need to be removed, we need to work out a solution on how they can be removed or how the opportunities can be removed. Because, for example, one of my fellow DA councillors had a problem with crime in a specific area, and in that area there happened to be a lot of vagrants who were working as car guards and particularly window washers. And it became an enormous problem. There were lots of not hijackings but smash and grabs at the robots, etc. And she consulted various people on how to deal with the problem, and somebody who is a specialist in the whole geospatial aspect of crime, who we're going to be listening to a little bit later, he said, you know, he suggested that she cut off the water. There was a water point right there where they were filling their bottles to be able to do the window washing. They cut off the water supply, and within days the guys disappeared. So something as simple as that, something as simple as fixing street lights or cutting off a water supply or something like that can be done to find a solution to the problem. I'd like to give everybody just a few seconds just to introduce themselves so that we all know who is who and what organization you represent, because this is also a networking opportunity today. I'd like all of us to be able to make contacts and for us to be able to continue the conversations that are going to happen in this room, outside of the room in the future. Okay, so thank you again for being here today, and I hope we're going to have some very productive and fruitful discussions.